The Asian Games 2023 is around the corner, and whilst there's understandably been a lot of focus on the teams as well as athletes who will be going for the event, there's also been a lot of focus on one team in particular that, as things stand, will not be able to travel to the Asian Games, and that is, of course, the Indian football team. You'd remember that the Indian football team don't meet the sports ministry's criteria for being a top 8 ranked team in Asia, and therefore, as things stand, they will not in fact be allowed to take part in the Asian Games. This is despite the fact that for the Asian Games, the criteria is simple. The top 20 ranked teams in Asia are supposed to send a team. If they choose not to, that's on them, but all top 20 teams are allowed to send an under 23 team to take part in the Asian Games. As things stand though, India will not be taking part because, as we said, they fall outside of the top 8 ranking or the criteria that is set by the sports ministry for sending teams for any such team event. Now, this has been a cause of a lot of, let's say, consternation among fans, and in fact, the hashtag Indian football for Asian Games has been trending across social media for the past few days, and even the national team head coach Igor Stimac launched a very passionate appeal across his social media channels to not only the sports minister but even India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to let the boys go and actually take part in this particular tournament. However, if we are to go by the recent release wherein from the Indian Olympic Association, it does seem very unlikely at this point that the football team will be given a special kind of exemption, which is exactly what was being asked for, because they don't meet the ranking criterions and therefore they were not going to be sent anyway. There was talk about them being granted an exception, but again, based on the recent comments by the IOA, it does seem a little bit unlikely that is going to happen. This is exactly what the IOA said, and we'll talk about it in two parts. The first thing they said was that in team events, the focus will be on selecting sports that have achieved a top 8 ranking in Asia in the last 1 year preceding the Asian Games. The focus will be on selecting sports that have achieved the top 8 ranking. Now again, this is nothing new. This is what we've known for a while already, and it is in fact the main reason why there was so much consternation to begin with. It's because the top 8 ranking is a self-imposed one. It's not one that is imposed by the OCA or the organizers of the Asian Games. It's not imposed by them. It's imposed by the Sports Ministry of India itself. And it is one that can actually be adjusted if they so please. However, it does seem very unlikely they're going to, and this is why. They said that this approach will guarantee that team sports with a proven track record of excellence and competitiveness in the region get the opportunity to represent India. With a proven track record of excellence and competitiveness in the region. Now again, if you go by this particular part, you'd realize that that's not exactly been very true of the Indian football team. Again, India are not one of the bigger teams in Asia when it comes to football. In fact, it's only in recent years that they started regularly qualifying for the AFC Asian Cup, and of course, World Cup qualification still remains very much a distant dream. But if you're going by, of course, let's say, the way the Asian Games functions when it comes to football, as well as how seriously a lot of these teams actually take the Asian Games, it might not actually be the worst thing in the world to send one of these teams. After all, it's an under 23 competition that a lot of nations don't actually send full strength teams. So for the very simple reason that one, you're not allowed to send top players, they have to be under 23s, but the other, there's no guarantee that a lot of clubs, whether it be internationally or even within Asia or India, would actually release their top players because they're under no obligation to do so. They're only obliged to do so for events that come under, say, FIFA events or AFC events. This unfortunately is neither. So there's no obligation, and in fact there's no guarantee that even if India do send a competitive team that they'll get home the gold. But that is not the point that let's say a lot of Indian football fans, as well as even the coach, are making. They're saying that there has been a lot of progress that has been made when it comes to youth development, and there has been plenty of investment and infrastructure that has been put in place when it comes to trying to ensure that you have a better feeder system to ensure that the youth development in this particular sport is happening. In that sense, it is at least only fair that you send the team. Yes, there's every chance they may not win a gold, a silver, or even a bronze, but that's not necessarily the point here. The point is to let the boys play, to ensure that they get competitive game time for their country at a good level. And in that regard, There is a reason, in fact, why many people were keen to ensure that the Indian football team get an exemption. Unfortunately, that seems very unlikely to be happening at this point in time because, as I said, the IOA have in fact doubled down on the criteria that have been put in place by the sports ministry and have said that unless you're a top 8 ranked team in Asia, you are not getting sent for any single one of the team events in the Asian Games. What is your thought on this latest blow for the Indian football team in its quest to compete in the Asian Games? You can let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. For now though, from my side,